Hello everyone, Wayne Motts, the President Emeritus and Historian at the Gettysburg Foundation, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and we have an episode of Gettysburg on the Road with a longtime friend of mine, Jason O'Leary. Jason, thanks for being with us.
Good seeing you, Wayne.
We are in Westminster, Maryland, about 25 miles south of Gettysburg at the Historical Society of Carroll County in Maryland, and we're going to get some Gettysburg connections for our episode here of Gettysburg on the Road. And we just so appreciate Jason's invitation here at the Historical Society of Carroll County. So on your trip to Gettysburg, you got to come down here and see some things. We're going to talk a little bit about it. And if you're in the Union Army, you're all over Westminster. This is the main supply depot for the Union Army during the Battle of Gettysburg. And we've got all kinds of troops passing through here in July of 1863 and before. So, Jason, why don't you tell us a little bit about where we are in this building and a little bit about the Historical Society?
Sure. Yeah, well, we founded in 1939. We're a relatively young historical society here in the county seat, Westminster. We own and operate 3 historic buildings. You're standing in one of them, known as our Kimmy building. It houses our gift shop and our welcome center, reception space. So we are open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 to 4, open for tours. Tours are free of our historic buildings. Our hallmark spot is the Sherman Fisher Shellman House, which is right across the lane here, built in 1806. It was home of Mary Shellman, who has some Civil War connection there.
Yeah, sure.
And we're going to let you speak with Kyle Wichtendahl, our archivist, who has some amazing things laid out here for you to see.
All right. Well, listen, Jason, thanks a lot for having us here. We're looking forward to talking to Kyle to make some Gettysburg connections on the road, and we appreciate Jason and the Historical Society of Carroll County partnered up with us here at the Gettysburg Foundation for this nice episode, and we look forward to speaking with Kyle next. So thanks, Jason.
Sure thing.
All right, Jason said we're going to talk to Kyle. Kyle, welcome, and thanks for allowing us to be here. Thanks for rolling out of this collection. Wow, this is some great stuff related to the Battle of Gettysburg, and we also have some there's non-Gettysburg things here too, but Battle of Gettysburg related stuff, some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Kyle, why don't you tell us, first of all, before we get into some of this, the collection. You've got 3-dimensional objects, you've got paper here, your title is archivist, you're managing a pretty good size collection, and for a historical society, it's very wide, right?
Absolutely, yeah. For a county historical society, we've got a wide range of objects and records that range from the 18th century all the way up through the 21st century. I think our strongest concentration is in the 19th century and early 20th century. We've got over 35,000 objects or items in the catalog. That includes both physical objects and manuscripts, photographs, archival items, but it's really spread among all kinds of different items and sources that we use here, whether it's in our research library or exhibits. My particular focus of fascination is the Civil War, so I'm the right guy for you today. I'm the archivist here. I'm not the collections manager, but our collections manager is out of the country, so you are stuck with the Civil War buff.
Some of this stuff, and let me just say, this is stuff that you've pulled out for us that have connections to Gettysburg.
Absolutely.
That normal people, and none of us are normal, that people just generally don't see, correct?
No, not generally speaking, no.
Right.
So a lot of this has been on display in exhibits in the past, but it's been over a decade since most of this has been out.
So special for the viewers here at the Gettysburg Foundation on the road to Gettysburg. So let's talk about it. How about this little cartridge box tin right here, Kyle?
Most of the things I've got for you here, are in and of themselves really unimpressive kind of items. This is literally trash, literally the detritus of battle. But I think it's one of the coolest items I'm going to show you today. I've got a number of items here that came from the Burney family of Tawnytown, so just up the road from here. Very prominent Carroll County family for over 200 years. They made several trips up to the battlefield, basically as spectators. We know they were at least there in October of '63, and they were there on November 19th, 1863. Of course, what happens that day? It's the dedication of the National Cemetery. This is one of those objects that they picked up. It's just a simple federal issue cartridge tin going in the cartridge box. But as they've noted, this was picked up on Cemetery Hill on the day of the dedication of the National Cemetery.
So the note, and we'll cut in some images of it. The note says picked up at Cemetery Hill the day of the dedication. So
Absolutely.
Cemetery Hill strewn with objects,
Absolutely.
even on November 19th when
Yeah.
Lincoln's there.
I mean, it's fascinating to me. What this really shows is that even as late as October after the battle, these things are still littered over the battlefield. We see they picked up, like I said, literally trash, but amazing gold to us.
Soldier's tin
Soldier's
plate.
tin plate,
Yeah.
improvised frying pan.
Yeah, that's one. That's interesting. I've not seen anything kind of like that.
It's a little different.
Yeah. Cartridge box.
Cartridge box.
Wow. And of course that tin would have gone inside a cartridge box.
Yes. Different
that.
style of cartridge box, but yes.
Wow. Now you've also got a flag over here.
Yeah.
And that was, you say, picked up at Gettysburg.
Yes.
So let's take a look at it.
And this is going to be a treat for me too, because I have never opened it up.
Oh wow.
So,
Okay.
So we're going to take a look at that.
Okay, we've unrolled the flag, Kyle, and we were just talking a little bit off camera. What do you know about this thing?
So we don't know too much, but this comes with the collection from the Birney family, the items that they brought back from Gettysburg on their trips in October and November. We know that they were there November 19th for the dedication of the cemetery. This is my first time seeing this flag, and it sort of confirms what I was thinking about it. This doesn't look like anything that comes from a military context. It's very thin. This would just last like a week with the Army. But I think that this is almost certainly a relic from the dedication of the cemetery.
Yeah.
It's exactly the kind of thing that you would decorate the ceremony with. And the number of stars, 35, corresponds to the admission of West Virginia. And so it's the correct flag that we would see at the dedication in November of '63.
So one of those great mysteries we wish we knew more about, but an interesting item, a very, very interesting item. And your ID tags say definitely from Gettysburg, right? This thing was, had some association with it.
Absolutely. It definitely comes from October, November visits to Gettysburg by the Birney family. And I'm pretty confident that that's what we're looking at here, just given the condition of it. I mean, it's definitely Civil War period, looking at it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the stitching and interesting, very interesting. So, and of course, if we knew all the answers, everyone, you wouldn't need us. You wouldn't need all of us.
Absolutely.
All of us over here, we don't know. Another mystery to work on, but wow, thanks, Kyle. Now we're going to roll it back up and go visit these other objects that are over here, but thanks very much. I'm kind of drawn by this piece of hardtack that you have, which I think is also one of the most interesting objects on the table. What about this piece of hardtack, Kyle? And it's written on. It's got ink.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. It's a piece of hardtack. One of the most mundane objects of the Civil War.
Yeah.
Certainly ubiquitous. But it certainly attests to the undigestible staying power of these pieces.
Yeah.
But what's special about this was actually a Gettysburg campaign souvenir. This was given to a young lady at the time of the battle, Agnes Yingling. Yinglings are another illustrious family here in Carroll County that have been here for hundreds of years. But this was given to her by a soldier.
It's got the writing of this, and this soldier is in the 5th Wisconsin Infantry Regiment, which is in David Russell's 3rd Brigade of the 1st Division, Horatio Howe, of the 6th Corps. So he's held in reserve at Gettysburg. He's back behind where Little Round Top is. And he got that, it says here, July 6th, right?
Yeah, July 6th, 1863. So it looks like he probably wrote compliments of James Parkinson to Miss Agnes Yingling, Westminster, Maryland. But then July 6, 1863, it's written in a different hand, so I'm going to guess that she wrote that after to clarify. But
ladies and gentlemen, a 161-year-old hardtack. And imagine people eating that. A 161-year-old piece of hardtack. From a Gettysburg soldier. Tremendous.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Wow.
So, I've heard of all sorts of sweetheart gifts, but that's a new one.
Now, you mentioned to me, because I always ask the curators, is this like the archivist, this is like your favorite piece in the Civil War related?
No, I'm going to show you my favorite piece here in just a minute.
All
if
right.
you want to see that.
Okay.
Well, before we get to my favorite piece, let me show you one last Gettysburg item.
Okay.
And again, it's nothing that in and of itself is very exciting. In fact, it's broken. but it's the kind of thing that makes me excited just because of its connection.
Yeah.
So this is one of those multi-part eating utensils that folds out like a pocket knife, common among Federal and Confederate Civil War soldiers. But this one in particular belonged to Augustus Zahn, and Zahn was a native here of Carroll County, Westminster, I believe. He served in the 1st Maryland Potomac Home Brigade. So he was, as far as we can tell when I looked at his service record, he was at Gettysburg on Culp's Hill. And for all we know, this was right in his haversack. Wow. Right there on Culp's Hill.
Wow. Soldier at Culp's Hill, 1st Maryland Potomac Home Brigade.
And it does have his initials etched into it, AZ.
Okay. Wow. AZ right on that.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Wow.
So it's pretty wild.
That
I
is.
think. Just one of those small, inconspicuous objects with a lot
You just
of
saw
cool
a couple.
history.
You just saw some Gettysburg items nobody's really looked at. Those are pretty cool. All right, now your favorite item. We want to.
So my favorite item has nothing to do with Gettysburg, despite how connected Carroll County and Westminster are with the Gettysburg campaign. Carroll County sent, I think, probably a disproportionate number of soldiers off to war, but very few of them actually wound up at Gettysburg.
Okay.
Their units, like the 6th Maryland, 7th Maryland, were elsewhere during that time.
Okay.
6th Maryland contained, it had a lot of people from Carroll County in it. The unfortunate story of the 6th Maryland, if you're familiar with the Battle of the Wilderness, they were on the extreme right flank of the Federal Army, and they took the brunt of that flanking assault from Ewell on the 5th. So many of the soldiers of the 6th Maryland were killed in that assault or were captured and wound up spending the rest of the war in Andersonville or similar prisons. One of the least lucky soldiers from that was David Royer. He was a very young man, I want to say about 20, 21, something like that, if I recall. Unfortunately, I haven't found a photograph of him. I'd love to find one. He was killed in that fight.
Oh boy.
This is his cartridge box. I would love to know how it got home.
And we have reason to believe this would have been on him.
Oh yeah,
As
as far as we can tell, this is what would have been on him, unless it was a piece that he just wore out and sent home. I don't know. But we know this did belong to him and it passed through the family.
Yeah.
But it's not the kind of thing usually is sent home as a personal effect. So if he was wearing it, he would have been wearing it at the Wilderness when he was killed.
Okay.
Now this is a personal effect that was sent home from the Battle of the Wilderness. This was his pocket diary. It's not interesting as a diary in any way because there's nothing written in it. But what's interesting is that it had probably been freshly purchased. It says diary 1864. The damage you see there is Civil War damage. This is the bullet hole that killed him.
Oh, wow.
He was hit in the chest, so presumably he was wearing it in his breast pocket of his sack coat.
Yeah. Soldier killed in the Civil War. And here's an artifact that actually has the hole right in it. Wow. Very moving. Whether it's Gettysburg or not, that is a moving artifact right there. And you know the sacrifice of people when you take a look at something like that. Wow. I can understand why that's your favorite.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
It's a little extra sad, and we're not particularly sure of the identity of everyone in here. One of them, at least, is probably his sister.
Yeah.
Another one may be a sweetheart. We're not sure who's who, though. Wow. And miraculously, they were just to the side of where the bullet went through, so they were not destroyed. But
well, fascinating. What a bunch of history here. We just showed you some Gettysburg-connected items for Gettysburg on the Road at the Historical Society of Carroll County, Westminster. And we just appreciate it, Kyle. And then some of this stuff, Gettysburg or not, wow, what a powerful, moving set of artifacts here at the table. We appreciate your time. We appreciate Jason's time. And we want to tell everyone on behalf of the Gettysburg Foundation, thank you for following us on these videos. And when you get a chance, come here. Come to the Historical Society of Carroll County, check their website, and come down and visit. I know they would love to see you. And we appreciate all your support on these videos. You got to watch the whole thing through. I should have said that at the beginning. But hopefully you're watching the whole thing through. Just like it, just share it. and distribute it as much as you can. And we appreciate the support on behalf of the Gettysburg Foundation for preserving the Gettysburg battlefield and the items and history associated with it. And this stuff right here, connecting Gettysburg to a place that's not in Gettysburg, and it's great. So thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Kyle. And we appreciate Jason, of course, who was on earlier.